My beloved soul, listen carefully. Fate or chance, you have whispered that question into the silence of your room, into the ache of your waiting heart, into the nights when tears touched your pillow and no one saw. But hear this, my beloved soul. It was never fate as the world defines it. It was never random chance. It was never coincidence. God locked your soulmate path forever before you ever took your first breath, before you ever knew what longing felt like, before you ever asked heaven why. And today, you were led here on purpose because heaven has decided that your heart must understand what has been written. This is not a coincidence. You were chosen to hear this message at this exact moment. My beloved soul, do not scroll away. Do not skip this holy interruption, because what you are about to hear will untangle years of confusion and silence. You have wondered if you missed them, if you made the wrong turn, if one mistake erased the promise. But hear this clearly. God does not write in pencil. He writes in eternity, and what he locks, no man can unlock. Revelation declares that he opens doors no one can shut and shuts doors no one can open. And if he locked your soulmate path, it is sealed with divine intention. Heaven is watching you in your waiting season, not to test you for cruelty, but to prepare you for covenant. You felt delays and called it rejection. You felt silence and called it abandonment. Yet God called it protection. Jeremiah 29:11 whispers over your restless heart. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And this includes the one your soul recognizes before your eyes ever see. Stay with me till the end. Something sacred is unfolding in layers, and you must hear every word, because the final revelation will shift how you see your past forever. You have been asking, was it fate or was it chance? And the Spirit says, it was neither, as the world explains it. It was divine orchestration. Before you ever met them, God was shaping both of you in separate valleys, healing wounds you did not show, breaking patterns you inherited, teaching you to love without fear. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, He makes everything beautiful in its time. Not in your panic, not in your impatience, but in His perfect alignment. My beloved soul, heaven saw every tear you cried over the wrong ones. Every night you begged God to explain why it did not work. And God was silent, not because He ignored you, but because He was rearranging the path. This is not random. This is not accidental. You were led here on purpose to understand that what is sealed in heaven cannot be stolen on earth. Do not leave yet. Heaven has more to reveal about why the waiting felt so long and why the door closed so suddenly in your past. There were relationships that broke you. There were connections that almost convinced you that love was temporary, and you began to believe that maybe you were destined to walk alone. But hear this, the enemy can delay. He can distract, but he cannot rewrite what God has sealed. Psalm 37:23 says, The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. And if your steps are ordered, then your meeting is ordered too. You did not stumble into your heartbreak by accident. It was part of your preparation, because God needed to strip away desperation before introducing destiny. My beloved soul, remain with me in this sacred moment. Do not rush ahead in your thoughts, because if you remain till the end, the final word will bring clarity to years of confusion. You keep replaying moments, wondering if you missed a sign, wondering if timing slipped through your fingers. But listen carefully. What God locks forever cannot be undone by one decision, one mistake, one season of immaturity. His grace covers your process. Isaiah 60:22 declares, When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Not when you force it, not when you fear it, but when heaven announces it. Heaven is watching your growth, your surrender, your quiet obedience when no one applauds you. You have been becoming someone new in the hidden places, and so have they. You are both being refined separately, so that when your paths converge, it will not be chaos, it will be covenant. My beloved soul, do not skip this revelation, because something powerful is forming in your understanding right now. There were nights when you questioned God, when you said, if this is meant for me, why does it feel so far? And God heard you. He did not rebuke your tears. He collected them. Psalm 56:8 says that he stores your tears in his bottle, and every drop you cried over loneliness was counted. This is not fate in a blind universe. This is a Father who watches. God has not forgotten you. You were led here on purpose to be reminded that your soulmate path was not left to accident. It was secured by divine decree. Even when you dated the wrong one, even when you walked away too soon, even when fear made you silent, God was still steering the story. Stay close to this message, beloved, because the next layer will uncover why delay was mercy. Delay was mercy because you were not yet healed from what hurt you, and they were not yet healed from what shaped them. Two wounded souls meeting too soon would have called it destiny and destroyed it with insecurity. So heaven waited, heaven watched, heaven refined. James 1:4 says, let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. You are no longer lacking what you once lacked. God loved you too much to let you enter covenant incomplete. My beloved soul, do not drift away from this word, because heaven is speaking directly into your history and your future at the same time. You thought the silence meant no, but it meant not yet. You thought the closed doors meant rejection, but they meant redirection. Every person who left your life made room for the one who is assigned to stay. This is not random chance. This is divine editing. The author of your story removed chapters that would have ended in regret. Proverbs 19:21 says, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Your plans shifted, but his purpose did not. My beloved soul, if you remain attentive, you will feel the weight of this truth settling into your spirit like peace after a storm. There is someone whose path has been aligned with yours long before your calendars matched. You may not know their name yet, or maybe you crossed paths briefly and did not understand the significance, but hear this. What God locks forever cannot be erased by temporary distance. If it is ordained, it will return in clarity and strength. If it is written, it will manifest in peace, not confusion. Heaven is watching both of you, synchronizing healing, arranging meetings, softening hearts. Do not skip this sacred confirmation, because the next truth will untangle your deepest fear. Your deepest fear has been that you are too late, too old, too damaged, too complicated. But God does not consult your insecurity when fulfilling his promise. Abraham was old, Sarah was barren, yet the promise stood. Hebrews 10:23 says, hold unswervingly to the hope we profess. For he who promised is faithful. Faithful means consistent, unwavering, intentional. If he promised companionship, if he whispered covenant into your spirit, he will not contradict himself. My beloved soul, stay with me till the end, because heaven is building toward a revelation that will steady your heart like never before. You were never competing for love. You were being preserved for alignment. The wrong ones felt intense but unstable, passionate but uncertain, and you mistook intensity for destiny. But what God locks forever carries peace. Philippians 4:7 speaks of the peace that surpasses understanding, and that peace will guard your heart when the right one stands before you. There will be recognition without anxiety, connection without chaos. This is not fantasy. This is divine design. God has not forgotten you. You were led here on purpose to be reminded that your soulmate path is secured beyond human interference. Listen carefully now, because this is where heaven deepens the message. Your waiting season was not empty. It was sacred. Every prayer you prayed for your future spouse was heard. Even the childish ones, even the desperate ones. God filtered them through his wisdom. You asked for someone attractive, he added integrity. You asked for chemistry, he added character. You asked for passion, he added purpose. And while you were praying, he was shaping you into the answer to someone else's prayer. My beloved soul, do not leave this message unfinished, because what comes next will feel like a key turning in a locked door. Fate suggests randomness, chance suggests accident, but God suggests covenant. Ephesians 1:11 says, "We were chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of Him, who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of His will." Everything includes your love story. Even the heartbreak was woven into the design, not to harm you, but to refine you. Heaven is watching your readiness now. The loneliness you feel is not punishment. It is transition. Something is shifting, something is aligning. And here is the prophetic climax. My beloved soul, the reason this message found you today is because the season is changing. The same God who locked your soulmate path forever is now unlocking the appointed time. What was distant is drawing near. What was silent is preparing to speak. The tears you cried in private are about to be answered in public joy. Joel 2:25 says, "He will restore the years the locusts have eaten." Restoration includes love, includes partnership, includes covenant. Do not skip this final unveiling, because the next words are for you alone. You are not forgotten. You are not delayed beyond repair. You are not wandering without direction. God locked your soulmate path forever, and now He is aligning the steps toward fulfillment. Heaven is watching with approval. The waiting carved depth into you. The silence built faith in you. The surrender strengthened you. And now peace is coming before the person arrives. Because God is teaching you that the promise begins within. My beloved soul, hear this closing declaration. What you prayed for is nearer than you think. Not by fate, not by chance, but by divine covenant sealed in heaven. Continue to trust. Continue to heal. Continue to prepare, because when God moves, it will be unmistakable. The meeting will feel like recognition, not confusion. The connection will feel like home, not chaos. And when it happens, you will look back at this very moment and realize this was the confirmation. Rest now in faith. Stand now in expectation. God has not forgotten you. The path is locked in heaven and unfolding on earth. What is written will manifest. What is promised will arrive. And what your heart has been whispering in prayer is very near, very close, very real. Receive peace. Receive assurance. Receive the divine alignment that has already begun. My beloved soul, breathe in this sacred assurance again, because heaven is not finished speaking to you. You thought the message was closing, but it is expanding. You believed the revelation had reached its peak, but the Spirit says there is deeper ground to uncover. Listen carefully, because what you are about to understand will quiet the last echo of doubt inside your chest. The path was not only locked forever, it was protected fiercely. Angels have stood guard over connections you never even knew were forming. Doors closed, not just because they were wrong, but because they were dangerous to your destiny. Heaven is watching with precision, not passively observing, but actively orchestrating. My beloved soul, do not step away from this moment, because something eternal is settling over your spirit right now. There were times you almost forced something that felt close enough to love. You almost convinced yourself that almost was acceptable. But hear this, God does not write almost into covenant. He writes ordained, sealed, established. The reason confusion kept surfacing in past connections was because they were not locked by heaven. They were experiences, not destiny. And every time you walked away with tears, heavens whispered, "This is not the one I sealed for you. Stay with me till the end, because the clarity coming next will wash away the residue of every past disappointment." You have underestimated how intentional God is about companionship. In Genesis 2:18, He said, "It is not good for man to be alone." And that declaration was not temporary. It was foundational. The God who created galaxies also created partnership. He did not leave it to randomness. When Adam slept, God worked. When you rested in surrender, God was shaping your future spouse in ways you could not see. My beloved soul, heaven is asking you not to strive but to trust. The path is not fragile, it is fortified by promise. Do not skip this sacred unveiling, because the next truth will ignite hope where fear once lived. You feared that time was against you. You watched others find love and wondered if heaven skipped your address. But Psalm 31:10 says, "My times are in your hands." Not in culture's hands, not in social media's timeline, in his hands. And if your times are in his hands, then your meeting is in his hands too. God is not late, he is deliberate. Every year that felt empty was actually building capacity within you. You can now love without losing yourself. You can now discern without desperation. You can now choose from wholeness, not from fear. My beloved soul, remain attentive because heaven is revealing the final pieces of this mystery. There is a spiritual gravity pulling your paths closer. Now you may sense it as restlessness, as anticipation, as a quiet stirring you cannot explain. That is not anxiety, that is alignment. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says, "Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor." Notice it does not say two are better by accident. It speaks of divine benefit, divine design. Your union is meant to produce strength, peace, and purpose. Heaven is watching the details. Conversations are being prepared. Hearts are being softened. Circumstances are shifting subtly. My beloved soul, do not disconnect from this message, because what comes next carries prophetic weight. The enemy tried to convince you that you were too broken to be chosen, but God specializes in restoration. Isaiah 61:7 promises double honor instead of shame. The shame of past mistakes does not disqualify you from future covenant. It qualifies you for grace. The tears you cried were not signs of weakness. They were evidence of depth, and depth is necessary for lasting love. Hear this clearly. Your soulmate is not searching for perfection. They are aligned with your authenticity. The same God who healed your wounds is healing theirs. Stay with me, beloved, because the revelation is rising towards something powerful. You have asked God for a sign. Perhaps this message is that sign. This is not coincidence. You were led here on purpose. Out of millions of voices, this word found your heart. That is intentional. Heaven does not whisper randomly. It confirms strategically. And here is what it confirms. The path has not only been locked, it has been preserved from contamination. Every betrayal you survived strengthened your discernment. Every delay strengthened your faith. Romans 8:28 declares that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. All things includes the waiting. All things includes the heartbreak. My beloved soul, do not leave before hearing the next revelation, because it will anchor your spirit. The one assigned to you is not perfect, but they are prepared. They have been shaped by lessons, corrected by seasons, matured by solitude. Just as you were hidden in your growth, they were hidden in theirs. When you meet, it will not feel rushed. It will feel right. There will be peace in the pace. There will be clarity in the connection. Heaven is watching to ensure that what begins will endure. And when the time unfolds, you will recognize that every closed door was mercy in disguise. My beloved soul, remain here in this sacred understanding, because something holy is being sealed within you. Let this sink deep into your spirit. God locked your soulmate path forever, not to control you, but to protect you. Protection is love in action. The reason some connections dissolve suddenly was because heaven intervened swiftly. You called it heartbreak. God called it rescue. You called it loss. God called it alignment. Listen carefully now, because this is where the Spirit intensifies the promise. The season of preparation is shifting into the season of manifestation. Not because you demanded it, but because you matured through it. Stay with me till the end, because the final declaration is about to ignite faith at a new level. The prayers you whispered years ago are resurfacing in heaven's timeline. Nothing was discarded. Nothing was ignored. Hebrews 6:10 says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown. He has not forgotten the nights you chose faith over bitterness. He has not forgotten the times you refused to settle. That obedience positioned you for what is coming. Heaven is watching your readiness now, not your perfection. Readiness is humility. Readiness is trust. Readiness is peace before possession. My beloved soul, do not skip this sacred crescendo, because the next words carry prophetic fire. Fate is blind, but your story is seen. Chance is accidental, but your union is intentional. The lock on your soulmate path is not a chain restricting you. It is a seal guaranteeing you. And seals in Scripture represent authority. When God seals something, it is backed by heaven's power. What he seals cannot be tampered with by fear, by delay, by distance. Even if you have not met yet, the meeting is ordained. Even if you crossed paths and separated, the reconnection is secured if it is his will. My beloved soul, receive this as a sacred assurance. Now hear this final prophetic declaration rising over your life. The season of wandering is closing. The season of clarity is opening. You will not have to chase what is assigned. You will not have to beg for what is promised. What is locked forever in heaven is now aligning step by step on earth. There will be divine timing, divine peace, divine confirmation, and when it unfolds, you will feel no confusion, only calm certainty. Rest in this truth tonight. Walk in this confidence tomorrow. God has not forgotten you. Heaven is watching with love. This is not chance. This is covenant. This is not fate. This is divine authorship. And what you have been praying for with trembling hope is closer than your fear ever imagined. Receive it with faith. Stand in expectation. The path is sealed. The promise is alive. And your appointed love is drawing nearer with every ordained step. My beloved soul, let the weight of this truth settle deeper now, because heaven is not merely speaking about romance. It is speaking about covenant destiny. The love God has locked for you is not just about companionship. It is about alignment of purpose, alignment of calling, alignment of spiritual authority. You thought you were only waiting for a person, but you were being prepared for partnership that carries impact. Listen carefully, because this revelation will steady every restless thought that has tried to rise against your faith. The reason the path was locked forever is because what is coming is too sacred to be left to accident. It carries assignment. It carries influence. It carries generational blessing. My beloved soul, do not let your mind drift, because this final unfolding is heaven's seal upon your heart. There were moments when loneliness felt louder than promise. You smiled in public, but questioned God in private. You watched weddings, engagements, celebrations, and wondered if heaven misplaced your file. But hear this gently and clearly. God never misplaces what he predestines. Isaiah 49:16 says, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." Engraved, not penciled. Permanent, not temporary. If your name is engraved in his hands, then your covenant is engraved in his plan. Heaven is watching, not to delay you, but to deliver you at the precise intersection of readiness and timing. Stay with me in this sacred closing movement, because the Spirit is about to calm the final storm inside you. You have feared that your heart has grown tired. That hope has thinned. That expectation feels fragile. But hope that survives delay is stronger than hope that never waits. Romans 5:5 declares that hope does not disappoint, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit. That love is sustaining you even now. The very fact that you still desire covenant means heaven has preserved your capacity to believe. My beloved soul, this is not weakness. This is evidence that God is still nurturing the promise within you. Do not turn away now, because what I am about to declare will seal this message with peace. The one God has aligned for you is also being stirred. There are moments when they feel the same, unexplainable anticipation. They may not know your face yet, or perhaps they do not fully understand why your memory lingers in their thoughts. But heaven is synchronizing awareness. This is not emotional fantasy. It is spiritual orchestration. Just as Ruth was guided to Boaz's field in what seemed like coincidence, Ruth 2:3 says, "It happened that she found herself working in a field belonging to Boaz." But heaven knew it was not chance. It was placement. It was alignment. And just as that meeting shifted destiny, your meeting will not be ordinary. My beloved soul, remain steady, because the culmination is near. You must release the last trace of fear that whispers, "What if it never happens?" That whisper is not from heaven. Heaven speaks assurance, not anxiety. 2 Corinthians 1:20 says, "All the promises of God are yes and amen." Not maybe, not someday, without certainty. Yes and amen. If God placed the longing for covenant in your heart, He intends to fulfill it in His design. The path being locked forever means it cannot be stolen by delay, cannot be destroyed by past mistakes, cannot be overridden by insecurity. It is secured in divine authority. My beloved soul, feel the strength of that security. Now this final season before manifestation is sacred. Guard your peace, guard your purity, guard your expectation. Do not allow bitterness from yesterday to contaminate tomorrow. The reason God refined you was so that when love arrives, you will receive it with clarity, not suspicion. You will not sabotage what you once prayed for. You will recognize it. You will honor it. You will steward it. Heaven is watching your posture now, not with judgment, but with delight. The Father delights in completing what He begins. Philippians 1:6 assures that He who began a good work in you will carry it to completion. Completion includes this promise. Now, let this prophetic declaration rest fully upon you. The waiting season is not endless. The silence is not permanent. The distance is not defeat. The same God who locked your soulmate path forever is now orchestrating its visible unfolding. Conversations will happen naturally. Encounters will feel divinely timed. Doors will open without force. And when it begins, it will not feel chaotic. It will feel covered. It will feel anchored. It will feel like peace stepping into the room before the person does. My beloved soul, hear this as heaven's final whisper over your heart tonight. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are precisely where divine timing requires you to be. The tears you once cried were watering seeds you could not yet see. The nights you spent surrendering were strengthening roots beneath the surface, and now the season of emergence approaches quietly but surely. Lift your head in faith. Walk forward in calm assurance. Release comparison. Release fear. Release the timeline you tried to control. God has not forgotten you. This is not fate. This is not chance. This is covenant written before time and unfolding within time. The lock placed upon your soulmate path was not to restrict joy, but to guarantee fulfillment. And here is the closing prophetic truth. What you have prayed for in whispers is closer than your doubts have suggested. The promise is breathing. The alignment is moving. The answer is forming. Soon, very soon, what was written in heaven will stand before you on earth. You will look into their eyes and feel recognition deeper than words. You will sense peace greater than explanation. And in that moment, every question about fate or chance will dissolve, because you will know it was always God. Rest now in divine expectation. Stand firm in holy confidence. Heaven is watching with approval. The path is sealed, the promise is alive, and the love ordained for you is nearer than ever before. Receive peace. Receive assurance. Receive the certainty that what God has locked forever will manifest in perfect time. Type, Amen.